This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Financial problems can lead to tension, depression, loss of sleep, excess worry and stress, family fights, and is the leading cause of divorces. We have invited David Bethel here this morning to shed some light on this topic. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, is it true that couples face financial problems and actually fight over them?
Well, it does seem to be true. I think that you're familiar with the phrase, until death do us part. Well, they may need to change that to until debt do us part.
Yeah, that's for sure.
30% of couples who report disagreeing about their finances as often as once a week are get divorced more often than those who fight less often than that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So what are some strategies that you have for couples or individuals when it comes to their finances?
Well, that's a good question, and there really are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. There's other things maybe we can talk about later on, but today I wanted to emphasize, how do you avoid credit card debt, and then how do you purchase what I call big ticket items?
So let's go ahead and talk about what is the strategy to prevent credit card debt, because I know that the majority of Americans out there have some sort of credit card debt out there.
Well, the best way to avoid it is to not get into it. And so I think it's good to remember back to the first credit card that you got. And I know that I said when I got a credit card, I was going to safely stick it way back in my wallet, and I would only bring it out in the case of an
emergency.
Exactly. Unfortunately, once you have a credit card, your definition of emergency seems to change.
Right.
And I tell people that the fact that there's a pizza delivery guy at your front door does not constitute an emergency. So if you use a debit card instead of a credit card, you avoid credit card debt. You can use them in the same places. You can buy the same kinds of things. But when they swipe a debit card, they're checking to see if you already have the resources in place to pay for it. And if you don't, it won't let you buy that.
Right.
Now, you can responsibly use a credit card as long as you make sure that you have enough resources in place before you purchase something so that you can pay the card off immediately. That's a responsible use of a credit card. And the best way to do that is to take a little portion of every single paycheck and put it away into a savings account so that it builds up, and you use your credit card, and then you build it back up, and you can use your credit card, and you can do that, and that's perfectly fine.
And I see a lot of people doing that, where they set a certain amount of money off to the side from their paychecks, and then they'll use their credit card if they go out to lunch or whatever it is to build their credit, and then at the end of the month when their bill is due, it's like they pay off their credit limit because they only use that certain amount for that month. So do you recommend doing that to help build your credit?
Well, I think that maybe some of the ideas about building credit are oversold. But avoiding credit card debt is really important, and so that's a perfectly legitimate way to use a credit card.
Now let's go ahead and talk about the big ticket purchases. I know that I've been one of those people where I've bought a big screen TV and I put it on my credit card, and you're saying to avoid that.
Well, you want to get to the point where you can avoid that as quickly as possible. And you're going to make a lot of big ticket purchases over the rest of your life. You're going to buy many automobiles. You're going to buy one or more homes. If you have kids, you may pay for their college or their weddings down the road.
Right.
So it's unavoidable to be purchasing these big ticket items. The question is, are you going to pay cash for it, or are you going to borrow the money? And again, the way you make it work is you have to put a little bit of money aside from every paycheck into a big ticket account and let that build up to be able to buy that. And let me use an example. If you determine that you can come up with $300 a month for a car payment, well then theoretically you could come up with that $300 a month before you buy the car. And if you buy the car and you make all the payments until you own it, you could keep saving that $300 a month. And if you just did that, if you just bought the car and once you paid for it, kept saving that $300 and kept the car, then you would be building it up so that maybe you could make a bigger down payment on the next car, and the third car, maybe a bigger one, and the fourth car, maybe you have enough money to pay for it. Now, if you really want to do, if you really want to be aggressive, I say save the $300 a month for the next 4 months and then go buy a $1,200 car. And then keep saving the $300 a month until you can afford to buy a better car.
Right. Or use it to pay off other bills that you may have. So.
Well, that's right. That's right. Now, if you you can't apply that same strategy for buying a house.
Right.
You don't save until you have 100% to buy a house.
It would be nice.
It would be nice, but you do need to save until you can make a really substantial down payment, 20, 30% or more. And you don't have to buy your dream home
Right.
to start with. The first house I bought, now I bought it way before you were ever born, but I paid $10,000 for the house. Now you could have paid more for other houses, but that was the house I could afford at the time.
Right.
And so the same strategy still applies. Save money out of every paycheck, put it into a big ticket account, let it build up, and as quickly as possible, get yourself to a position where you have the choice of paying cash for your big ticket purchases. If you avoid credit card debt and you're able to pay cash for big ticket purchases, you're well on your way to financial freedom.
Oh, which I think is everybody's dream, right?
Right.
Well, thank you so much, David. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at heartlandconnection.com, as well as your contact information if they have any questions, and we'll be right back.